You're coming off your first full complete WXW pay-per-view. How do you feel?
I feel great because I actually feel like I got my money's worth from my internet. It didn't crap out when we tried to watch it together this time, for one. And yeah, it was excellent. It was definitely a diverse show, if anything, in a good way, you know.
That's how I usually feel coming out of it, and especially after the last few years of watching it. This is the first, probably in 2018, I've really watched it week to week, and I can't say I'm disappointed. I agree, it's a very diverse show, that's for sure. It gives you something different in the wrestling world. And the pay per view we're talking about today is WXW Superstars of Wrestling. They're kind of conglomerate pay per view where they try to bring in wrestlers from all over the world, more of the higher end. People for a draw, such as Jay Lethal, Christopher Daniels, Tennille.
Let's do it. Take it from the top. When you pull your bottoms down, it's the ass man coming in the opener. The opener. This because this went the first time we watched it. It took us twice to watch this together, but we've finally done it. This caught me off guard to Billy Gunn to see him in the opener. He's in there with a guy. Obviously, it was a younger guy. What was his name again? Well, you wouldn't think that watching this match that he was an up and comer because he didn't get the win against Billy Gunn. Took the L. There you go. Now is Billy Gunn going to be like a on a consistent state, like or is it like you? I asked you to watching this Superstars of Wrestling. WXW is like they have like one-offs and nostalgia acts or special attractions. Is Billy Gunn going to be back? Yeah, very surprised. Couldn't believe it. And then you know how they usually dub the audio on these shows. They actually got in "I'm an ass man," but then like they cut to the stock music for his entrance just in time. I noticed. Yeah. I can picture. Well, I can't picture. He did. Rad popped really hard when that happened. I remember when we watched that first. Good save. Good save. Looking like just incredible. Carbon copy. Yeah. And I remember watching this, and he just kept going out to the same lady out in the crowd, like trying to swoon, like working a heel style. I remember. Uh, but you know what? Who knew Joey Mercury had this much in him psychology wise as a heel to like mess with the crowd? And I thought he did really well, especially ragdolling the guy around. I know that's the gimmick. The guy's like the legend killer underdog or whatever. Comes back in the end and wins, but I was actually way more into this than I thought I'd be by the end of it, and very impressed by Mercury or Credible or whoever the hell it was.
I was saying he looks like the guy you shop and he works out and definitely lets you know about it.
Yeah, or like a cop who like entered an MMA tournament and just said fuck it or something.
And I feel it was the perfect opponent for Dirty Dragon. For those that don't know, he's kind of the lower card, the jobber type guy, losing streak, and lo and behold, about to be fired in kayfabe, and Emil Satoshi, the guy from the match before, goes to management. He's like, no, I got a plan for him. We're gonna have him face against top talent and all these guys to prove himself. And Dirty Dragon ends up getting a roll up pin on Mercury, and Mercury was pulling out all these crazy heel moves. Like he even took the mic from at one point and started counting along with the ref because he just kept throwing Dragon out of the ring, putting him back in to break the count, and then throwing him back out once again to restart it. It was all good stuff. I haven't seen something like that in quite some time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any other jokes you want to say about Mercury, or what did you think of Dirty Dragon?
I think he's doing his gimmick well. The little, the underdog that could thing. I think the crowd was invested by the end in his corner. It's reminding me of Cheeseburger in Ring of Honor, honestly, is what this is.
Oh, interesting comparison for sure. I can see that.
I don't got
All
any
right.
more jokes though about Mercury. I wish I did. I wish he looked like another wrestler I can make it. But unfortunately, just solid, just incredible look like. Other than that,
Yeah. So the other match that went on was Alexander James, Prince of Pro, the American against Lucha Underground guy Mil Muertes, just jacked Mexican guy. Like holy crap, he'll kick the shit out of you kind of look. Alexander James has been making a push for himself to go to the top of the WXW card. He's an American that's got this really cocky gimmick going on. And I really like this match. What did you think, Travis?
you talk about on paper two guys that are night and day to begin with, and what they pulled off here was quite the opposite of what I thought. I was just gonna thought it'd be like you would think Muerte is just murdering this guy, but James, he showed some intensity. He kept it more even than I thought it would be. I enjoyed this. I did.
What do you think about the push? Because on Shotgun, WXW's weekly show, it's clearly gotten to the point where James is going to be pushed. He seems to be the next opponent for the WXW title going forward. Do you think this is too fast? Do you think he needs to prove himself in the mid card? Like, what do you think? Do you think he has the personality to make it at the top, or is this just another opponent for that next top guy?
It's hard to say because as good as the Dragunov and Walter stuff has been, I think they know they can't rely on that feud forever. They can't do what they did in Japan with Tanahashi and Okada. It's a little different, I would say, especially in Germany too, where they're not going to be as patient. Fans are going to turn on that if they just keep going to that. I'm never against making a new star. It's just when it's the right guy, it feels like it's too. The guy's good. He's got potential. I think we can both agree on that. Is he there yet? I don't know. Probably not. There's a ton of other guys you could probably say, JD, that you would think should go before this guy.
Well, how about that? We'll leave that question to when we're finished with WXW, and then we'll both throw out a couple names there. What do you say?
Well, it's always going to be Jay Lethal. 3 answers of Jay Lethal is my answer already. No, we'll do it. Let's do it. Wait till the end.
All right. Well, speaking of Jay Lethal, that was the next match. Jay Lethal against Lucky Kid, in which Jay Lethal comes out on top. I think the right guy went over. Lucky Kid is just this crazy, goofy heel gimmick that people love. He's a member of Rise, the let's call it NWO of WXW, and Lucky Kid has now faced Zack Sabre Jr. in a fantastic singles match, lost, and now he's faced Jay Lethal in another fantastic technical showing and lost again. Tell me your thought. Like, we both know Jay Lethal is ungodly in the ring. He's so technical. He's got all the persona. I'm more curious about what you think of what you saw out of Lucky Kid tonight.
This is my first real exposure to Lucky Kid, and lacking face paint, because you say usually comes out in face paint. Didn't matter. I thought
special occasions.
Yeah, okay. But I thought he did great playing the off kilter. Like we'll get to that later with Dragunov. The off kilter, like literally crazy. He just played it great, like this, and in a way he threw some. It was like crazy madman stuff mixed with some androgynous gold dust stuff too, in a way. And he did it. He threw it in a blender, and he works well. And plus, his work rate is bar none. It's great. It's obviously fast paced on the level. Him and Lethal had good chemistry. There's some moves I remember never seeing before in this match from Kid. He's definitely a guy to keep on your radar for a future star in the business in general. That guy's great.
Yeah, yeah, and he doesn't just stick with WXW. I see him a lot with the German Wrestling Federation, GWF. He shows up in Progress and other indie promotions in Europe. Lucky Kid's a great worker. I see nothing but good things out of him as well. I love all the spots he does within character, such as wiping the sweat off Jay Lethal's bald head and then trying to lick it, and
Yeah,
Lethal's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" That kind of thing,
yeah.
or mocking each other's mannerisms and moves. They both played off each other so well.
Call me
I
crazy.
look forward.
Call me
Yeah.
crazy. If I signed him in WWE, okay, I brought him in, there would be my member of Sanity for the Cruiserweight division right there.
Ooh. Yeah. Don't even have him speak English. Just keep him up with German, and yeah, he'd go absolutely well with Alexander Wolf as well. Both another guy from WXW.
And we're on our way to the perfect German stable, halfway with Alexander Wolf and two German guys in there now. Yeah,
Well, our next match was the mixed tag match. The veterans against the rookies. The veterans are pissed off with the rookies, being obligated, feeling like they're obligated. Kind of this mentality, or millennial mentality. It was Absolute Andy and Melanie Gray. Your first exposure to Melanie Gray, and
yes.
the team of Killer Kelly and Marius Al-Ani. Yeah, what'd you think of this one?
Absolute Andy, absolute great heel work. But from both of them, just playing to the crowd, the leg cramps, the getting offended at the ring announcer saying her weight, just all of it. It was good stuff. Um, the Son of Hakushi gimmick, I don't know. That's got to grow on me, I guess. The Raiden Mortal Kombat stuff on the other end. The match was okay, but obviously, let's get to the elephant in the room on the rookie side. And by the way, Killer Kelly in this was fine. Nothing really, just out of the ordinary for what I've seen in her matches. Problem is with the Ninja, he rushes himself. JD, we were talking about.
Oh yeah, I've been saying one. He's definitely a mimic of today's spot fest indie wrestling. Even in WWE today, you could look at how Seth Rollins is wrestling all his matches. It's 110% all the time, no pace.
Yeah, style over substance.
Yeah. Yeah, and if Alani wasn't working with the veteran Absolute Andy, he'd definitely be exposed. And coming from myself, who watches a lot of this German wrestling, I see a lot of Alani wrestle a lot of the weekly events. He's kind of their go-to guy. When he's wrestling against lesser vets, he's definitely exposed for what he's capable of. I feel he's still got a long way to go in that. But I'm more curious to what you think about the intergender wrestling that we saw in this match, whether it was the spots that they pulled off or the face-offs.
It wasn't your typical one, and I think that's what it made it stand out. It wasn't somebody hanging out on an apron the whole match and just waiting on that. But on the other end, it wasn't too much of the intergender thing to where it just became bullshit and unbelievable. I think it was a fine balance of that. And especially like with the spot where Keller Kelly gets Absolute Andy and the ankle lock was great. Like she snuck in there. Obviously she's smaller. She can't go one on one toe to toe. So she does the easiest thing she knows. When a bigger person's on the ground, they're at the most vulnerable, and she cinches it in. It was great. And obviously she has the MMA in her character, so it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the heel work on the Mrs. Gray. I don't know why I said Mrs. Gray.
I'm sure she'll love that.
Yeah, I got to be polite to her. She's a nasty lady. She played a nasty bitch heel, and it was good stuff, man. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, our first exposure of the bottom left ring post getting hit by a slap
Yeah,
was in this match.
it was good.
Yeah, I thought the F5 Absolute Andy hit on Killer Kelly, because that's something WWE doesn't do, is the men doing a move on a woman, but they won't hesitate to do the other way around. Seeing Andy hit that F5 on Killer Kelly, it was just like, holy crap, she went flying.
The F6. It was
Yeah, the
incredible.
F6 as you called it.
It was ungodly.
Yeah, it looked like she did a flip in midair or corkscrew and then landed, and she was out for basically the remainder of the match until she hit that ankle lock.
Yeah, it was good stuff. In the crowd, they were not disappointed. They seemed like they enjoyed it too.
Yeah,
And,
there was a couple fans I was booing.
well,
within the crowd.
Fuck
But
them.
what? You're always going to get those the marks that don't like something just because it is something.
You're never going to please everybody. You
Right.
never. And I think a lot of guys forget that, and I think it deters them and it throws them off sometimes. If you remember that going in, you're never going to please anybody. And if more than fucking 3 people left happy, you did your job. So, and it was fine.
Well, now we're getting to the crux of the card. This is all the title matches now. The first one was their mid card, the shotgun title, Bobby Gunn against Christopher Daniels, in which Bobby Gunn taps out Christopher Daniels. To me, this was the second best match of the night.
My new favorite wrestler in the entire goddamn world besides Jay Lethal right now is Bobby Guns. Tremendous. The promo. Let's get into the promo, JD.
Yeah, go for it.
Just the cockiness. What did we say? The Rick Rude mixed with Sandman mixed with Shawn Michaels, because he smokes cigarettes. He brags about all the women he's going to slam, or in his words, as he put it, making his opponents so broke they're going to have to get vouchers from Mickey D's and all this shit. It was great. It was, and I remember us before the promo was even over questioning each other watching this. Would WWE ever let him do stuff like that? And immediately we were like, no, and that sucks. And we pitched like this hipster idea, which is, I think, just A+ too, where like he could vape instead and like wear skinny jeans and all this.
Instead of the king of smoke style, he's the king of vape style.
Yeah, something. But he's, and you know, another thing that I noticed about him in promos, he's like deceptively athletic. Like while you watch him work, he's got a good physique and he looks in great shape. But not in his promos. In his promos, he kind of looks like just a regular, like you or me, everyday dude, just
right.
And that was cool how he made the transition to like, oh shit, now he's in there in the ring, like he's an actual fucking worker, not just this joke. But yeah, that was great too. And any guy that's a hybrid of entertainment and being able to do that's always a good thing to have on your roster.
Yeah, and this match was like, Christopher Daniels is 48 years old, and he can still work, he can still move well in the ring, and the way he worked with Bobby Guns and made Bobby Guns look even stronger. Because the story going into this match was Bobby Guns no longer has any opponents he wants to face. He's beaten everybody and anybody and everybody for the title at this point. He called out his own opponent that was outside WXW, because we're at Superstars of Wrestling, and he called out Christopher Daniels in Ring of Honor. Daniels accepted through social media, and then they met in this match, and Guns pulled out all the stops. He pulled out a bunch of heel tactics, such as throwing the ref in front of him, and then poking Daniels in the eye, and then kicking the arm out. It just led to one thing into another. So Daniels is a heel, but he looked like a babyface because Bobby Guns was pulling out all the heel tactics. Yeah. He was out healing him, so to say.
New generation.
And he was still over.
It's like
and he was still over with the crowd.
Yeah. Gettysburg Daniels. Yeah, it blew our minds. Like, we actually looked it up, guys, watching this match, how old Daniels was, that he's 48, and he looks 33. Like, he looks tremendous.
Yeah, you can kind of see the skin kind of slowly coming down as guys around that age start looking. He's got the circles in the eyes.
Okay, at first glance, 33. But if you look at him, maybe more like 38. But still, he looks really good. I hope I look that good when I'm his age. It's really raining outside. Holy shit.
Oh, wow, I hear that.
It's because we're shit talking the fallen angel. See the reference? God and
right. Well, the next match was the tag team title match. Monster Consulting, our boys Avalanche and Yulia Nero face Rise of the team of the new leader of Rise, Peter and Ivan Kiev. Now, not your best match, I would say. Not even close to what these two teams are capable of, but that's not what we saw here. We saw a decent enough tag match with the interference of the team of JFK turning heel, interrupting the match, and stealing the title belts.
Right. Yeah.
Did you like the mid-match? Because you were just like, I kind of phoned it in on that match. Did you like at least how they booked it, where if this was going to be not the best match in the world, they at least had a reason for it?
I don't think it was. Looking back now, after we've seen the outcome and the turn from JFK or whatever, it felt like more something like would have been like a go-home show with SmackDown leading to. This obviously wasn't a spectacle type tag match. I think for that, it did its job fine. you weren't supposed to remember the match as opposed to remember the storyline. And I think if they would have let the match be 5-star or whatever, it would have outshined the storyline, and they didn't want that. So it
There you
makes
go. There you go. That's kind of what I believe that's what they're going for in the end, and that'll lead to a triple threat or even a number one contender spot. If you've been watching WWE in 2018, you'll see that JFK kind of ongoing storyline where the team kept losing. They couldn't win the big one, the tag titles in this case, and it finally got to them. So the heel turn makes sense. Especially in this case when the team Monster Consulting, the team that had beaten JFK throughout the year, are the current champions. So it all made sense to me. So
I think all teams are going to be fine. I think they all have promising futures either way. Nobody was hurt. It just progressed stories.
Yeah, Avalanche looked strong. It took 2 title belts to the head to knock them down finally. Die Monster von die Alpen. It's good. Well, before we get into possibly match of the year, let's talk about the main event.
Okay.
Which was the women's title match of Toni Storm facing off against Tenille Dashwood, a.k.a. Emma from WWE. The announcer made that very clear.
Yes, he did.
In which Toni Storm defeats Dashwood to retain her WXW title.
Can we talk about that real quick before we talk about the match?
Sure.
Just 2 seconds on it. That's something I've noticed even since, like, I don't know how, like, if you've ever gone to any show or, like, how young you have, but they always do that where it's, like, an outlaw indie or whatever, and there's a former WF guy. They always announce them like that, and I've always wondered, like, does that piss the guys off? Are they bitter when they announce them like that, or is it, like, standard fare? I don't like it. I think it's hokey as shit, and I think it makes your promotion sound cheap. I wouldn't let my ring announcer do it if I was running the promotion, but that's just me, maybe.
I think it's just a reminder to a lot of the casuals in the audience that aren't quite, not everyone's going to be, say, you or me, where they're always on the up and up of who goes where and what their name is.
Yeah.
But everyone recognizes WWE.
I totally get to put it on, like, the promotional posters and flyers for the show, but I just mean, like, the actual ring introduction, I don't like it. But I get what you're saying, totally.
I don't have as much problem with it as you do. I think in time they'll stop doing that, but right now she's still kind of fresh off her WWE career.
Did they say former WWF for, like, Billy Gunn and Joey Mercury too? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Which is odd. Do you think if anything they would remind people Joey Mercury was employed by WWE, not fucking Emma? Weird. Super weird. But the match, fine. It was just placement for us, I think. We can both agree. Like, it would have stood out a lot more if it didn't have to follow an ungodly performance.
Sure. But as, what did you see difference between how the two worked in the ring?
As opposed to each other, or, like, WWE women's style?
Let's say WWE women's style, since you brought that up.
I don't want to say night and day, just a little more let loose a little bit and not have this block of time restraints for television and stuff. That's the biggest obvious. I mean, not having to worry about some stupid corny storyline to interweave with your match to work it in too. That always helps.
Right. Okay.
I feel like this match was nothing different than what we get on an NXT TakeOver match for a women's match. If not, those matches are sometimes better than this. I don't want to say either woman phoned it in, because obviously they didn't. It was a great match. Like I say, I just feel like if I would have seen this before Walter and Dragunov, it would probably hit home a little bit more, but it was fine. It was a good match. If I go back and watch it again, you know what? It's one of those matches I'll probably appreciate more, honestly, second go round.
That's fair enough. I think it was a good match. I was not disappointed coming down to it. I've been hyped for this match for months now, ever since it was announced. I do wish they would give women longer matches. This one was only about 10 minutes. That seems to be the norm for a lot of women matches these days, especially on pay-per-views. It almost seems like it's a standard. But for what we got, I think both women showed their strong points. There wasn't a lot of in-ring storytelling. It was a lot of just hit your moves, prove what you can do, prove why you're there and how far the women have come. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Toni Storm looked amazing in the ring as per usual. That's for sure. She's a prodigy. True and true.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think another thing that stood out to this, as opposed to WWE women's matches, especially like even if they let them women main event Raw or something like that, they let them do the rail and bail and let them fight into the crowd and stuff, and made it like this it made it more like emotional and like well rounded of like brawl aspects as opposed to technical, like this whole big thing. They need to let the women do that more, show some intensity. It's just anything it's just the intensity, I think, is the key word lacking from indie women's wrestling and WWE women's wrestling. They're just like, I don't want to say deer in headlights, but like this 1,000-yard gaze, or like they have to remember what the script calls for, as opposed to then that like throws them off, as opposed to just NXT would let them work like this organic style, and it's totally different, and it blows my mind, even in their own developmental system, how different it is, you know?
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Well, moving on, we got now, in my opinion, a top 5 match of the year in the WXW Unified World Wrestling title. Ilya Dragunov champion facing off against Walter. The Ring General.
What can
Coming
you say?
off a controversial, more or less, face off at True Colors, the previous WXW pay-per-view. Dragunov, in promos leading up to it, goes, "No, we always have a defined winner. We don't want any of this, but this could have happened deal." No, he wants one more with Walter to prove who's the better man and who's the deserving champion in the promotion. Really like it. Simple storyline. Gets the point across. That's all you need for these two to face off. No one kicked each other in the dick, so we were already +1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak more about it with Rad, for sure. But Travis, this is all on you. Please tell me all your thoughts about this bout.
I could equate this to like a Billy Robinson versus Vern Gagne. It turned up to like 10,000. You know, it had that old school work a body part feel throughout the entire match that had a payoff. It made sense. It's just. Also, I think I said watching it, it reminded me of Samoa Joe and Bryan Danielson from 2004. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
it is in a way disrespectful to Walter and Dragunov to keep comparing them to guys, but it's a compliment. You know what I mean? And it's these two. That is another key word to this. They complement each other so well for a big man, small man, David versus Goliath match. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're shit. This is a case of it being great. The finish made sense because it was the body part that was worked the entire match. You know, Walter's arm. That it seemed like no matter what Dragunov hit him with, Walter was going to kick out. So for Dragunov to have to resort to just going back to that arm in the end is everything good wrestling is about when it makes sense storytelling wise. JD, that we harp on, you know, with our nitpicky bullshit. But when we get our nitpicky bullshit, we get masterpieces like this match, and it's worth sifting through all the bad matches to get a good one like this every once in a while. And with these two, it's every time. You know what I mean? But for anyone that hasn't seen this, I highly recommend checking it out. There's just too much good here, I feel like, to describe. I feel like we'll even get exhausted describing a match with these two, but flawless is another word that comes to mind. I didn't catch any botches, no missed timings. Maybe borderline a little rushed at parts, but that was only towards like the finish of the match, and obviously you're going to get blown up. One chop, by the way, one chop, and that made it even better, JD. It made it stand out. That's another memorable thing you think about this match now looking back. It only took one chop to make his chest that just got done healing get it red again. But oh god, this was great. This was match of the night, possible match of the year candidate. We've had some good ones, but this one's up there, and this was worth the entire show just to get to this match, in my opinion.
There you go. I couldn't agree more. And I'll go into a little bit more detail with Rad for the match in general, but I totally agree. It's if you don't go out of your way to seek out this match, and even the one previously at True Colors, which was a slap happy, hard hitting fest, you'll just be amazed on how these two guys could wrestle two completely different matches in their own styles.
We look on this entire card that we watched, Superstars of Wrestling. Yeah, Dragunov's really freaking good, okay? But there are two talents on this who just stand out as special goddamn prodigies, and that's Walter and Toni Storm. Those two right there are keepers all day on any roster, on any era. They fit. They're timeless type workers, I feel like. And the
Mm-hmm.
socks, right? We love the socks on Walter.
The white socks with the little
Yeah.
black stripes coming out of the boots.
Yep.
Yeah, he looks like that default character you'd make in a wrestling create a wrestler game.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then so you got that's a good point. You have your two headstrong guys at the guy and girl at the top of the card. Then you have, in my opinion, Lucky Kid and Bobby Guns, who's your up and comers, your
Solid
mid
mid
card
card.
guys.
Yeah.
So now, who do you think shall be at the top of the card now to face Dragunov that Walter has been vanquished by the Unbesiegtbar, the immortal one, Ilya Dragunov?
I mean, you could do Bobby Guns. You could have they gone that route before with those two?
No, I don't believe so.
Think about those goddamn promos for a second. Wow.
Oh, Psycho Dragunov against
Yeah.
Cocky Smoke Style.
I mean, they always have Absolute Andy there as like a backup, but I don't think they'll. That's regressing in a way, wouldn't you think?
Well, Andy has won the title before, but that was many years ago. He's the recent winner of the 16 karat gold tournament. Let's call it King of the Ring. And he's the number one contender right now. But there's got to be someone else at the card in case that doesn't work out. You know what I mean? There's always got to be a backup or that third guy in the works. You know, you can't just have Styles, Nakamura, and then nobody. Right now we're thinking Joe, Samoa Joe. In this case, who are we thinking here? We both say Bobby Guns. I think Absolute Andy's right now the number one contenders. They can fall back on that. Right now, there's just not a lot of guys left. It used to be John Klinger for a long time, but he's now moved on to German Wrestling Federation, a rival promotion. So it's going to be interesting how they build up. I think Pete Bouncer in time is going to be that guy. He's got the look. He's got the persona. I don't know if I haven't seen a lot of promo work by him, but yet you can even throw Avalanche in there every now and again. I think he's just the big guy that can do it.
Jörn is supposed to come back, you said.
Jurgen Simmons, he's an ex-champion, but he's on the shelf right now, and I think he's going to be out for quite some time.
I would say Lucky, but they'd have to book him way more strong. I feel like to have him on that level.
Oh yeah, for sure. Lucky Kid, I think would do well in a long-term feud against Bobby Guns, at least to build them both up. Because either guy that comes out would definitely be the next guy to go up to the top.
If only he spoke English, he could be the one doing the Switchblade character and knocking it out of the park, as opposed to what Jay White's been doing. Because Jay White's okay, there's just something off and missing, I feel like.
Well, I think Jay White just looks like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, him and looking at the ref counting, but
if they book as their version of a Switchblade character and get Lucky serious, then I could see something there with the Dragunov feud. You'd have to go big time with that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mil Muertes, that would be tremendous.
Get a lucha guy up there.
Yeah,
why not?
Why not?
For a couple. The other guy that always floats around is Zack Sabre Jr. He was the first unified champion. It looks like he's going to be around for the next couple promotion times to try and push himself up. Dragunov Sabre would be a good draw, and that leads Bobby Guns heading up the mid card still.
Has Dan Mastiff passed through? A lot of UK guys passed through there, right?
Yes. Yeah. WXW and Progress have a very good relationship with each other.
I mean, I guess if they get desperate enough, they could always reach to the Progress well for some one-offs, for some shows.
I mean, yeah, we saw that with WXW London with Travis Banks facing off in the Fatal 4-Way, which was another indie match of the year. Not a match of the year, but an indie match of the year.
I feel like what you've said all along since like you broke the news to my group chat and stuff on Twitter when Bad Bones left. I feel like at first I don't think it hit home to a lot of WXW fans, but now it's going to seem like because they can't do this feud forever with Walter and Dragunov that it is a bigger blow than a lot of people thought. It left a big hole in the main event scene, I feel like.
Oh yeah, and he was also the main guy of the head heel faction. Now they got to kind of start from scratch again, and I like what WXW is doing. It's just gonna be interesting heading into their next pay-per-view what they do through this summer lull as they go through their We Love Wrestling tour, which is as they tour all over Europe, France, England, the rest of Germany, etc. So
I guess Alexander James is, they want to make new stars, but he's got to turn up the intensity, and they got to go stronger with his booking too. Something, because he got the win on this, but do you think he looked strong, or do you think he looked resilient in his win? I think he looked more resilient than a shit kicker.
I think so as well, but he is being billed as this kind of sneaky heel character. So who knows?
Right.
Maybe over the next few weeks, they build him up on the regular weekly promotion and him jumping guys in the back or beating guys one on one. Who knows? It remains to be seen how they will end up booking Alexander James going forward. But he's definitely looking like the guy going forward.
I know this. It's refreshing to review a show and not be depressed about it, and I cannot wait to watch another WXW show.
Well, that one's not until August, my sir, but we'll definitely have a lot more We Love Wrestling type events to look forward to.
Heck yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, so now, Travis, welcome back. It's been a while. Now, New Japan had quite the couple days. Their Wrestling Dontaku 2-day pay-per-view happened.
Yep.
Quite a few things happened, such as, well, day one featured Omega and Hangman Page going one-on-one. Nothing huge happened until day two. They definitely saved a lot of their storyline elements for that day and the bigger matches. The best thing coming out of day one, I feel, was definitely Kenny Omega facing off against Hangman Adam Page. What did you think, Travis?
Would you say that's a quote breakthrough performance? Like that was the one for Page finally?
No. I think his match against what's his name?
Was it Ishii?
He did face off against Ishii. I think that's what got him started. I want to say his match at Supercard was the one that finally, like, at least in my case, got me accepting of not just the Hangman character, but Adam Page as a kind of a more top card type wrestler.
He's a very complete worker.
Oh, for sure. I like he's a Jim Cornette type star. You can put him in a match with anybody and he will work and he will do what needs to be done. But Omega is definitely the face of a company type guy. So it was really interesting going to this match. Like who would look strong, who would look weak, if Page would win this match, would that hurt Omega? Obviously Omega ended up coming out on top. I think the better guy won in the end. But Hangman Page has definitely sold me 100% at this point. He is definitely outproving my opinion of him.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan at first, especially when he was like the young boy for the decade a couple years back. I wasn't on board. But yeah, like, and the Hangman Page character at first too was like, oh, that's yucky. But it's fine now. Like, I guess it's grown on me. Yeah, it was fun. And obviously the better man won, you say, with Omega getting the Duke in the book. And after Dontaku would pass, looking back, it makes sense now why he got the win here. But we'll get there.
Right. So then one thing to note as we go into day two, after a series of multi-man tag matches that New Japan likes to do to preserve their wrestlers, I really appreciate that. Doesn't make for a better show. Well, that's all for opinion. Evil of the team, Evil and Sonata, gets multiple pins and was probably the best worker out of all those multi-man tag matches. I was quite impressed with what I saw out of him. And before he broke his orbital bone, he was getting a big push, too, going forward. Could this be something we'll see going forward, more of Evil getting these kind of wins?
I think eventually it's going to segue back into Naito splitting away and being a singles again, and Evil's going to be like the new leader in the end. You know what I mean?
Oh, interesting. You think he has the mic skills to kind of do that, or the personality?
I think the popularity of Naito, since he's been in that group, caught them off guard because he used to shit the bed when he came out, and people used to hate him. And I think they're going to try to make him a singles again, and they did not expect him to get this over.
Interesting. All right. Well, speaking of Naito, post-match, post the LIJ win, Los Ingobernables de Japón. You like that?
Very nice. Let's call him LIJ.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, it's a tongue twister if you don't practice it, by the way. My beer buzz from bowling kind of wore off now, but so it's able to roll off the tongue properly. As Naito was leaving, a fan in a Bushido mask, or a Bushi mask, I'm sorry, not Bushido, Bushi mask, held Naito's arm and proceeded to beat the living shit out of him. And who is it?
Jack
Travis?
Black, apparently. No, it was Chris Jericho. This is one of the best things I've seen all year. Like, ever, maybe. This was great. This caught everyone off guard. Nobody saw it coming. Jericho did it again. Whoops, he did it again. He hit a home run in Japan, flipping off the crowd, beating the crap out of Naito. That he bladed so freaking bad, just bleeding like a sieve everywhere. There was a post-match interview too, JD. I don't know if you caught it, where Naito was sitting down and blood was everywhere on the concrete while being interviewed by all these reporters. It's great.
Oh yeah, he had definitely a crimson mask. He didn't even. He looked like a guy who had just gone through hell. He looked insane. He wants blood to match what blood he'd spilled. I believe that's what he said in the post match interview. And Emo Jericho is just like the new big thing in 2018. It is so good. You can't find his T-shirt at Hot Topic right now. Lista Ingonables de Jericho.
Should do that. Another great thing I noticed in the promo, because thank God for subtitles, right, with Naito, he kept saying how Jericho can't get him off his mind. So in reality, Naito wins because he's obsessed with Naito. I thought that was a good spin on it he threw in there in his insane promo, which he, like you said, he did great, you know.
Yeah, and it even plays off some continuity with how Naito ended up winning the IC title. Match aside, spoiler, or in this case, I've already said as much that I don't like the way Naito won the IC title against Minoru Suzuki, but Minoru Suzuki couldn't get Naito off his mind. He was irritated at this young guy. And then look at another old veteran, Jericho. Can't get Naito off his mind. I'm really hoping Jericho actually takes the IC title and does something just absolutely insane with it, because Naito has like almost no respect for the IC title, even out of kayfabe. It even plays off his beating the shit out of the title previously in his last run.
Imagine last year at this time, May 2017, thinking a year from now we'd say that Jericho is in a New Japan Intercontinental title match. You know, it's crazy.
I think that just shows the current product in WWE, where even Jericho's like, I kind of don't want anything to do with that.
You can tell he's having so much goddamn fun over there. Even being a dick heel like that, you can just see it in his eyes, like he's loving it, you know?
Oh yeah, he's like shoving young boys out of the way. He's like spitting on cameras.
Imagine that, JD, a professional wrestler who loves what he does. What a concept.
Amazing. I mean, he's doing his Fozzy tour right now. He's loving life. He's got the Cruise of Jericho coming up. He loves that. He's loving his podcast. He's talking all kinds of positive about how Japan's treating him and how even the fans like hate him in the ring, but they love him in real life. It's so good.
Yep.
And then speaking of hating in real life, but loving in the ring, real life, I hope Ospreay really doesn't want to die.
But I thought you were going to say Michael Elgin. Sorry.
Well, that was also one thing that happened. Goto coming out of another tag match. Michael Elgin and Taichi are going to have a triple threat. I'm down for that. You down for that?
It's the neverweight title. Really, who gives a shit? Sorry, I don't care about that title.
Fair enough. Well, moving on. Do you think Ospreay's going to die in the ring? I think he has a good chance.
I hope not, because that kid's a star, you know.
Well, moving on to Kushida and Ospreay.
Ice spray.
Kushida and Ospreay absolutely tore the house down in this match here. I think it was a little spot heavy on Ospreay's part. I thought Kushida tried to pace it out as much as he could. Ospreay did come out on top. Do you think the right guy won? Do you think Kushida was actually the better wrestler in this? What do you think, Travis?
I do. I think Kushida's the better wrestler in any match these two would have. Ospreay's obviously, he, like we were saying earlier, he goes a little too fast sometimes, and I think he use psychology as best as he should. But I think it was the right call. You could especially tell it in the crowd. It's not 2015 anymore, and he's the new flavor in that division, and this always happens with that division. There's always a new flavor that comes along. The crowd is still there for Kushida. They're still crying. Kids love him. It's just he's not as hot as he used to be because Ospreay is amazing, and people love him there.
So you do think the right guy won in the
I
end?
do, yeah. I think
Yeah,
Ospreay is the future for that division. I think it was the right call.
I agree. But yeah, there was one spot in this match where Ospreay and let's see, Kushida. How do I explain this? Kushida went for a spinning DDT. Ospreay then threw him above his shoulders. Kushida then lipped up off of Ospreay's chest, did a corkscrew, and then landed. Really selling a move. That was, to me, the spot of the entire night.
It was awesome. Yeah, I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
This was as advertised. This was exactly what you thought it would be. This lived up to the hype, these two, on paper.
Yeah, no doubt. But what could be arguably one of the best matches in New Japan this year, I have my own feelings about it. I don't doubt it was good, was the main event. Okada still bested and defeating a valiant, smooth-working Tanahashi in this match. The storyline going into it was Okada, if he beats Tanahashi, beats the consecutive defense record of the heavyweight title. I don't think it was as good as their first match from years back, but it was definitely I think it was definitely a 5-star match. I don't think it's the best 5-star match this year. I think, as we spoke earlier in the show, from a pure wrestling and storyline standpoint, I actually think Dragunov Walter was better.
Oh, I do too. I do, most definitely. I do. It was better. This was a good match. I think it just surprised me more. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought they may or may not have phoned it in a little bit in this match going in, but when I watched it, they didn't. They poured their hearts out like they have in every encounter. It was a Tanahashi Okada match. With Okada finally getting the win. Another thing that stood out to me was the post-match interview with Tanahashi, crying, literally crying, trying to say, "I will be stronger," blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was only like the only way I can compare this is this is how you would book. Let's face it, Roman Reigns against John Cena. I believe our buddy Hammers would say this was closer to a John Cena Randy Orton match with the two character works and how they go. I can totally see that. I think in today, my own personal feelings is Okada is the Reigns and Tanahashi is the Cena, the old vet, the worker, the face against the new hot blood that they want to push. The difference is in Japan, it's working. Yeah. What is the difference in what we're seeing here?
The difference is they're using a guy that people don't hate. That's it.
Gee, what a thought.
What a concept. Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. And it sounds like we're joking. That's what it is. And it's not like they don't. It's the exact opposite of what we just talked about earlier with WXW. It's not like they got to, there's no new guys we could put on the. No, there's tons of guys they could use who are way more over.
Mm-hmm.
Baffling. I equated kind of to more the Cena Reigns thing too. Like their version of that, as it should. Like he's overtaking the throne instead of like Orton and Cena came up together. They were just kings on different islands. It felt like night and day personalities, but they were both top guys the whole time together, parallel.
Yeah, one was the WWE champion, the other one was the world heavyweight champion, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you say.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
No, it was Okada and Tanahashi, though. I mean, I feel like I've reviewed that match a million times on other shows because it's. How many times is it now? I know this was defense 12, right, for Okada, or 11 or 12. They kept saying.
It was his 12th, but he wanted a definitive 12th. Hence, why Okada called out Omega post match.
Yeah, like that. This was unexpected to me. What the aftermath? This is what everybody ended up talking about. What happened after this match? It was basically Gato, praising Okada like he does. Blah 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 blah. Okada getting on the mic, being humorous this time. Actually, it was when he put out like 1, this, and like 3. He was like, I don't really have a 3 or something. But yeah, he calls out Kenny Omega. He wants a decisive 13, JD, or 12 or whatever.
Yeah, he wants a decisive 12 because Dominion last year went to a draw, and he doesn't count that as an actual defense of the title because he didn't win per se. He just kept the title. Which, hey, continuity. There you go. What a way.
Ranking systems, my friend. I love them.
Do you think this would be the good time to finally get the belt on Omega from Okada? It's tough to say, right?
I do because it could come full circle a year or 2 years from now. Then the Golden Lovers could feud for that title. One of them could turn heel. Anything. At the same time, I don't want to see Okada streak end, so it's like I'm torn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't get streaks like this all day, especially when you don't mind seeing the guy defending the title win after this amount of time. Exactly. My mindset is if Okada beats Omega now, then who can they build up before Wrestle Kingdom to take the title off him? I don't see anybody, personally.
Right.
So he would just hold it for another 6 months.
They could go to Naito, but that's too easy. That's kind of lazy.
How cool would it be with Jericho taking the IC title and then he's like, I want Okada. They build that for just like an American event.
It would be, or he could go for like both the IC in the world, or in you know what I mean, and because we're doing unprecedented things in Japan, because this is also what a 60-minute match and 2 out of 3 falls. That's never happened with this title. They kept saying.
Well, it's no time limit. It's just 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, no time limit. I'm sorry. No time limit. 2 out of 3 falls is a hell of a wrinkle, and that's never been done. That's crazy. What a match! I'm just frothing at the mouth at what this match is going to be. It's also like what's great about this storyline is that it's come full circle now with Kenny as the babyface. You know what I mean? It's like he's
because he started as the heavy heel.
Exactly, and that's what's making it even better.
Alrighty. All right, Travis. Unfortunately, welcome back.
Oh, God, I know what time it is.
You know what time it is. It's time to talk WWE Backlash. Now, we're definitely not going to take a long time on this for sure. We're both busy people. We don't have enough. We just talked very positive previously over WXW and New Japan. But yeah, thank you for sticking with me, Travis. It's been nice having you. I gotta ask, what do you think of the Seth Rollins Miz match that started off the night?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, JD. I always love talking wrestling with you. And this is a one-match card. Looking back, I think it's a great idea to kick off this show with this match. The problem is what happened after. Nothing.
Did you have any negative takes on this IC title match, or was it just the good high energy opener that we've come to expect from WWE these days?
I'm tired of complaining sometimes about no selling. I just need to accept it more. That's the era we're in. That's the flavor of ice cream that everyone eats. This fast-paced style of Rollins where he rushes sometimes, and it's great, but at the same time, that like you could tweak some things and have it make a little more sense. You just got to accept, I guess, that that's where we're at. And if you can, it was one of the Miz's best match I will say I've ever seen him have. And I got to give as much credit to Miz in this too. He really, especially the last 2 years with Miz. Before the last 2 years, I was never a big Miz guy. I just didn't get it, but he's just on fire. It's like something finally clicked with him, and he's firing on all cylinders. All that cliche crap, but man, he's one of my favorite guys to watch right now, and I never thought I'd say that a couple years ago.
I mean, I was one of the few candidates way back when he got the WWE title. I'm like, I love the guy. He's got the mic skills. His in-ring styles is pretty boring for a lot of people. I get it. I never have an issue with a safe worker. I mean, this is coming from the guy who was a Bret Hart mark from the day he was born.
Yeah.
I don't mind watching a match where a guy works the leg for 20 minutes. That's just who I am. So the Miz just constantly picking apart body parts or just doing the same, like 3 heavy signature moves, but does a lot of the other in-ring work style to kind of pace the match. I really appreciate that about the guy. It just so happens that we're now in an era where everyone's very stale, everyone's very complacent feeling. WWE's booking is in the can right now. Guys like the Miz have now just kind of taken the rope and hung everyone else with it as he's the executioner. You know what I'm saying?
Thing about Miz and what it was for me, I'll tell you the exact moment because I saw when he cashed in Money in the Bank in 2010. I was on board with that. I was all about new talent, especially in 2010 where it was miserable. But I think it's when they turned him babyface and that piss poor babyface run with Wade Barrett. Just this guy is never meant to be a babyface, especially then. And I think that's when I was just like I couldn't stand to watch him anymore because it soured me that bad.
No, I agree with that. There's always issues with some people just aren't meant to be a certain character, and Miz is definitely he definitely fits that mold. And that's something that's always been synonymous with WWE is they just feel this need to change a character. But as we're seeing with a certain other guy, a certain big dog, you might say, when a character change is needed or something's needed, they don't do it. It's very strange. So let's just hop off the Lex Express and just kind of just give our thoughts over the rest of the card in general instead of just breaking this down match by match. Because Travis, thoughts?
Thoughts are we've said it a million times where we're at with their booking right now. They don't care if they have this show was completely phoned in. Let's say it. They were running on fumes from the Saudi tour. You could tell the way the talent worked their matches. Everything felt phoned in after Rollins and The Miz. You know what I mean? It's just they're making money hand over fist with their corporate ties, their shows over, in Saudi and whatnot. They're not going to care about shows like this, and it totally showed watching it. Just the certain things were okay, but you really had to cherry pick on this. You really did, and that's never good. Especially that main event. When you have a guy like Samoa Joe, after a card, there's no way if I'm an agent in that company, anyone in that locker room, you know how they watch the monitors in the back. How could any of them validate that this show had been good when it was main event time? This main event needed something to get people up off of their asses, not up off of their asses leaving the building, up off of their asses invested in the match, and it didn't do that. Whoever put that match together for those guys should be fired. It was literally, and I don't like to do it a lot because I appreciate pacing. It was misplacement of rest holds in a main event. It was Samoa Joe giving Roman Reigns a rest hold literally almost the entire match. People were bored. People were on their phones. I was on my phone. Did nothing for me. And you knew the superstar shakeup just happened. It meant fucking nothing anyway. Incentive. Incentive is the key word coming out of Backlash. You have to have that for your consumer. You could have the greatest match in the world like Miz and Rollins, but there's no incentive. No one's going to watch it. Ever. Ever.
Right. Yeah, it was very, I've been on other wrestling podcasts myself, just talking about it. Definitely to nausea, to the point where I have been sick of WWE, and I didn't watch the last match. I don't need to because I knew it was going to happen. Roman Reigns is going to get the shit kicked out of him for 20 minutes, and then he's going to win Superman punch, spear, pin. And what the hell happened? That's exactly what happened.
Even if Joe won, where's the incentive? What would have came out of it? He's going to SmackDown.
The continuity there would have been Roman, because what they're doing now in the storyline, if we're going to talk about two top guys, because let's face it, they're two top guys. As much as I don't want to admit the big dog is being a top guy.
He is.
He is now blaming. He's got this whole blaming management thing. I've seen like house show promos of on the LED boards of saying applause in the back with the cameras off them. Very strange things going on with that. And then you have Samoa Joe being the ass kicker, but now it seemed like it was booked opposite the way it should have with where they're heading. If that makes sense. Like Roman Reigns is blaming management. Well, maybe they should have had him lose this match. Samoa Joe is going to be the ass kicker going forward. Maybe to have a definitive reason to be in the world title picture. Well, now he's coming off a loss to the guy who lost two other titles.
It's such a simple fix right now, JD. And you said it with that applause thing. They could even throw that in. I know everybody says it's the dreaded sentence. If they turned him heel right now with this heel heat momentum, and they use that, like they could make him like the authority wants to feel like a brainwashing type thing. Like during his entrance, they would have applause, right? They could tie shit like that in actual reality, use their term reality era, and actually mean it. It could work. He could get so much goddamn heel heat. There's so much they can work with work shoots right now with that guy. But the cranky old man and his bullshit football fantasies in his mind, not caring about his booking, is ruining things.
It's pretty interesting to see, and now just to well, one thing that's been close to my heart, and we talked about Tony Storm and Dashwood earlier tonight, and putting on a very good women's wrestling match. In my opinion, the second best women's wrestling match I've watched this year, next to Charlotte Asuka. Somehow WWE put something good together there, but now they've ruined that. This women's revolution thing, to me, within WWE itself, not other promotion. Other promotions seem to be nailing it. I just watched Defiant. We didn't talk about that, but Defiant just had a Rumble with 4 women that showed up and within reason held their own in a Rumble match.
Look at Shimmer, for God's sake. They've been doing it for years, having great women's shows.
It's incredible. Now we see Carmella win against Charlotte through a kick to the back of the leg and a roll up clean. We're going to have 8 women in a Money in the Bank match. We're going to have Asuka, who hasn't won a match since she lost to Charlotte, as the number 1 contender to Carmella's title. Nothing makes sense in this. So now we have Nia Jax calling out Ronda Rousey, who's literally won 1 match, been in 1 match against management. Like everything just smells what, Travis? Give me like a metaphor here.
Smells like money. Dirty money. The way they even announced it,
reality money, yeah. Even the way they announced it was dirty.
It just shows that they announced Ronda versus Nia. They're making so much money right now, they don't even have to announce it on their television product. They did it on like a red carpet interview. They don't care.
Red carpet, like NBC interview in London.
Exactly, like, in London. They don't care.
And then you had Charlotte just kind of going, "Oh my God, this is gonna be great! Woo!"
I mean, honestly, why should they care? There's so many casual fans in worldwide markets that are untapped. That Roman gets good reactions over there because they don't know any better. They're the epitome of casuals. They're always going to be.
I would disagree because the Monday Night Raw we saw in London, you turn on any video.
I don't count the UK. I want to correct myself.
The first guy that came out, and he was heavily booed, just like the United States.
I don't count
heavily booed in Canada, which is known as Bizarro World.
I don't count them either. I don't count UK, Canada, those places. They're smartened up. I'm talking about when they go to these untapped markets. Is what I mean. That they're just the epitome of casuals because they never get wrestling. They don't know the sheets. You know what I mean? Like those, like the UK, those are cutthroat bastards. You don't want to screw up over there by far.
I don't know. I've seen some WXW events where they, God, I forget which one it was this year, but I think it was John Klinger. Before he was out of the industry, he did a Superman punch, mocked Roman Reigns, and he just got immediate heavy boos because he mocked him. Because they just like, oh, that's Roman Reigns in the ring now. He even did a spear. He did the whole hoo-ah and everything. I swear, I think it was him. I could be wrong. I could be mixing him up with another wrestler. No, mistaken. It was Travis. No. Yeah, it was Travis Banks and TK Cooper at a Progress crossover with WXW. That's what it was. It was so funny. They were literally mocking Roman Reigns, and that's how they turned heel.
The biggest question, though, okay, even if there are those casual markets, if they keep seeing this guy, even those casuals, every time they turn on their screen, Roman get booed out of the building, eventually, osmosis or whatever, those casuals are going to think he's a bad guy, correct? So you're going to turn him anyway. So just fucking do it. He's not getting cheered and I don't want to hear the smart city excuse anymore. Well, he got cheered in New York. It's a smart city. Or booed. You know what I mean? He's getting booed in Lexington and fucking Providence, everywhere. So I don't want to hear that excuse anymore. It's time.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We joked that this new rivalry with Jinder Mahal is just going to make Jinder face. And sure as shit, in London, the Canadian/Indian booked guy gets speared, and he's getting the shit kicked out of him backstage, and now he's being cheered.
You know what it is? I figured him out. They used Mojo Rawley as a tester with Rollins. See, Mojo Rawley's the ultimate test, I feel like. That's going to be his final test as babyface. Like, if we can't get him over this fucking guy, we got to turn him heel. You know what I mean? So if we get Mojo the hero, then holy God.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, my God.
Is it funny or is it depressing? Like, it shouldn't be this hard to make
depressing,
it good.
but it's super funny where they're heading. Like, we all see it. It's nothing against, like, I've said it to Rad before. Roman Reigns is not a bad wrestler, but you would never know with how he's booked and the state of how wrestlers are in WWE. They're signature moves, t-shirt salesmen. That's what they are.
Roman Reigns should never be booked in any match as an underdog. He needs to be booked as a cocky, arrogant, I'm better than you type thing. Like, even The Rock as a babyface could work like that and make it work. But he had to go heel first to make that fucking work, is the thing with The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, who's gonna think the 6 foot, what is he, 8? 265-pound muscle guy in a Kevlar vest is an underdog?
Well, put it that way. Even though Hulk was the underdog against Andre, he didn't work the match like Daniel Bryan against, like, Batista. He still worked it like Hulk. He just took a couple spots you wouldn't see Hulk take. Like, when did you ever see Hulk try to body slam someone, but he fell back? That was the difference.
Right.
That's working an underdog style as a big man. And Roman could do that, but they need to get over this. He needs to be a cocky heel shit first hurdle.
Yeah. I mean, every time I watch, and this is why I'm done. I've totally boycotted, because it doesn't matter what you watch. It's still just going to be the same thing where he's in rest holds all night, or he's doing the rest hold. Weekly, I might add, and then he just comes back, no selling, and wins.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And by the way, a great way to make Jinder a bigger heel, let's have Roman beat the shit out of him and attack him, blindside him backstage. Boy, that won't get heel. That won't get sympathy heat for Jinder or anything. That makes sense. Just have Roman be an even bigger dick. Yeah, and that was something. Shout out to my show, Slam Pigs. Colin, one of my co-hosts, JD, last week on the show, he said it stood out to him how, like, Jinder. You were on. That's right, as a guest. My bad. How Jinder, he wanted to earn a spot. Like, he refused his one-on-one. He just wanted to be inserted in the Fatal 4-Way like a babyface would. So right. Roman's totally being a whiny bitch in this, the way he's being booked.
It's super funny. So I'm just curious. Who are your top 3 guys right now in WWE? You can even throw a woman in there if you want.
I'll throw a woman in there. Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, obviously. Those are the 2 reddest hot guys in that company. AJ Styles, I would have said a month ago, but women, man, you're not gonna like this. Just for the heat, not the matches, but for the heat, Carmella has been the standout over the past couple weeks, and that's sad. But she has. I'm not. Well, okay, I take that back. I'm liking the Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler stuff in NXT. I think that's coming off really well. The bully stuff. That's how you do a bully angle.
I feel you on that one.
You know what? And hand to God, bro. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say, because I know you're a fan of her, and you've been probably waiting for me ever to say this, because I used to bust her chops. I've come around on Shayna Baszler. I said it. It's documented. She's doing pretty well right now as a dickhead heel.
Yeah, and I think what's selling it is they're not putting her in matches. She's just going around the locker room just saying, what? Yeah. Like throwing her shoulders in. It's great. Yeah. Like Dakota Kai wins a match, she just immediately, her music hits the ring, and Dakota Kai bounces. Simple as that.
I'm excited for Nikki Cross and Shayna Baszler down the road, too, if they go that route.
That'll be good. And that was another thing. Like, Dakota Kai gets out of Dodge, they interview her immediately, and then the interview's over, and Nikki Cross is in the background just laughing at her.
Yeah.
It was good. I feel like NXT
Dakota Kai is going to be what Bayley kind of should have been if they keep doing this right with her. Look,
I think Bayley did her part very well. It's not her fault that WWE doesn't know how to book anything these days. Look at what they're doing with Bayley and Banks. It's like it never happened.
Yeah.
It's like nothing that they did or have built to meant anything. I've never seen okay, I'll take that back. I have seen WWE drop storylines before, but something as lightning in a bottle what they've had, and it's been proven to work with Banks and Bailey, just forget. So I don't get it personally.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, Seth Rollins is definitely a no-brainer at this point. He's the guy in the company right now. I don't know what they're doing with Nakamura and Styles. I haven't watched SmackDown yet. I've just seen some things on Twitter. The touching each other in the dicks thing is I don't know how you put two of the best technical wrestlers arguably of this generation and have them resort to needing baseball cups.
Is it bad that at Backlash, by the way, that was one of the piss break matches for me? And I never thought I would say that about those two, because I kind of knew it was going to be lackluster and phoned in a way and just a shit finish. Like, I came back midway through the title match at Backlash, and it shouldn't be that way with the match of those two. I should be invested, glued to my TV.
No, instead it's a mid-card match. Get those young lions out of here.
Yeah.
That's what it's I mean, not to throw out conspiracy theories, but it just seems like all these guys that weren't brought up, Seth Rollins is the exception right now, but any guy that wasn't brought up within the WWE system right now seems to be being phoned in. Is it just me?
Started on Bobby
Kevin Owens just signed a 10-year deal. He's been buried in every match he's been on. But he's wrestling the most out of anybody. He's for some reason won a Money in the Bank qualifying match, but it was like his third attempt or something on Raw that I read. And Styles Nakamura is for the. I'm not saying like they're not being booked at the top of the card, so to say, or getting the limelight. It just seems what they're. Yeah, it seems what their storyline is and what they're given just seems to be kind of third rate and phoned in.
You know what it feels like since like Nakamura announced that's who he wanted to challenge at the Rumble. It felt like that was always like their dream match, right, to book to get to. But it was like, okay, we're here now. What do we fucking do? Because they never thought of storyline plans. They were just like, yeah, we got a match. That's how it feels. They have no clue what to do with these two guys right now. So just keep kicking them in the dick. That's the answer, I guess. That's. Woof.
I don't get it. We spoke about WXW. We spoke about New Japan. How hard is it just to say wrestle? That's it.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. It just, like I like to time my matches every time, and it just seems like everything's on a clock.
My last, and I totally agree with that clock thing. My last ditch effort for hope with Bobby Roode is that he wins this Money in the Bank match. And that he cashes in. And then it's finally a heel at the end of the day. Finally. That's how we get it all back. Did he even qualify, or did he probably lost?
He lost. No, he won. He won. He glorious DDT'd No Way Jose.
Wow. No way Jose got a qualifying spot. That's something.
Yeah, but not the ex-US champion. Yeah, interesting how that works. The continuity again, just it's incredible. But we're blabbering on here. So rather than doing that, Travis, I'm just gonna say thank you for joining me, and I'm gonna get back to my regular scheduled podcast with Rad Zero.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Glad to have you anytime, and I look forward to having you on any future episodes.
Most definitely, and likewise, good sir.
There you go.
All right, and for everyone listening live on my channel, thanks for listening. I didn't interact because obviously we were recording for JD's podcast. Look for that Red Leaf Wrestlecast. And JD, go ahead and plug your stuff real quick.
Oh yeah, Red Leaf Retrocast is the podcast name. If you're interested in wrestling, you'll see the thumbnail or just wrestling in the episode counter, which episode it is. So we got a wrestling, we got retro gaming, we have modern gaming,